Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered for the next video, leave a comment below starting with buy or sell. In this episode, we look at what's next for Manzuma's revenge, if Energylandia is going to take a step back, and if the world's oldest coaster is going to have to find a new home. This is Buy or Sell, episode 27. Let's start with Travis Beeves. Mattel Adventure Park is going to be a flop and goes out of business in 10 years. This is a long-awaited park coming to Glendale, Arizona. For those of you not familiar with Arizona geography, that's just northwest of Phoenix, and that's the 5th largest city in the country. This doesn't have a major amusement park to serve the city, and it's not hard to see why. The whole reason this city exists is because of air conditioning, and right in the prime of the theme park season in the summer, it's 118 degrees. They have castles and coasters, but that's a very small family fun center with a few rides. You may also think that Arizona has an older population, but when it comes to Phoenix, the median age is 37.5. That's below the national median of 39. There seems to be a big market here for a major theme park, and considering Mattel Adventure Park is going to be part indoors and part outdoors, I think it can work. I'm selling the doom and gloom. It looks like the major attractions spill to the outdoors, and we'll see how much of it is truly indoors. I think it's set up to succeed. Edwin T. By 2030, Herschend will sell off Wild Adventures. Herschend is an entertainment company that owns some of the biggest parks in the country, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City. They also own a lot of smaller properties, including Kentucky Kingdom and Wild Adventures. If you think Cedar Fair is conservative, Herschend puts them to shame. They went 14 years between acquiring Wild Adventures and Kentucky Kingdom, but recently they also picked up the Vancouver Aquarium and Callaway Gardens. As far as I can tell, they have never sold a property. It may seem like they don't have a big interest in Wild Adventures, only adding 2 small coasters over the last 17 years. But I think if they were unhappy with that property, they would have unloaded it a long time ago. I'm selling this. I don't know what it's doing for their bottom line, but they must be happy with it. And they must believe the park wouldn't benefit much from a new attraction. I love Ghost Rider 4533. If the new Fire in the Hole is successful, Herschend will give Blazing Fury at Dollywood the same treatment. Herschend may be cheap when it comes to Wild Adventures, but they open their wallets for Dollywood and Silver Dollar City. These parks get some of the most expensive investments in the whole industry, and they're spending $30 million on the brand new Fire in the Hole, part dark ride, part coaster, built by RMC. Blazing Fury is just about the same ride, and that's only 6 years younger than Fire in the Hole. If this new Fire in the Hole works out, there aren't many major problems and the crowds flock to it. I'm buying that Dollywood does the same thing. They might wait a few years to see how it's received, but I think it'll be a big hit at Silver Dollar City, and it's coming to Dollywood in the next 8 years. Brendan. With S&S selling fewer coasters, by 2030, they'll abandon them and stick to flat rides. S&S hasn't had the best string of luck, especially with their new rides, but there are also problems going back to when they started making coasters in 2001. Hypersonic XLC was a prototype, but that had a ton of problems and only lasted 7 seasons. Dododonpa has been standing idle for years now, the forces apparently causing injuries to its riders. Bullet Coaster in China had a collision last year that may spell doom for the ride. Gale Force was built so poorly, it had to be torn down and rebuilt after its first season. Kennywood has had a ton of major issues with Steel Curtain, and I heard Six Flags isn't happy with Max Force. I can see them having problems selling some of their models, but I'm selling them abandoning coasters. They still have attractive models like the Free Spin. These cheap, small footprint thrill coasters will always be popular for parks on a budget. They just introduced their Access coaster also. We'll see if that catches on. They may scale back, but S&S coasters won't disappear. Henry Alder. Hyperia at Thorpe Park becomes top 5 in Europe. Hyperia is one of the more interesting coasters opening in 2024. It's a mock hyper, but it doesn't have that sprawling layout full of diverse elements. It's got the size, 236 feet tall, 80 miles an hour, and it's a series of swooping drops, an outer bank, a long dive loop, and it ends with an outer bank twisted drop. These elements actually seem great, but I'm selling this for one major reason: length. From the first drop to the final breaks, based on the animation, it's only 32 seconds. That's about half of what a normal hypercoaster would be. I think it'll be top 5 in the UK for sure, but not in Europe. Not with coasters like Expedition GeForce, Zadra, Ride to Happiness, Untamed, and Conda. Those are just the first 5 that come to mind. Drew Sapp and Ishkabibble. With the help of Ace, Leap the Dips will move to a new location within 10 years. When you've been around for 122 years, you're destined for some ups and downs. Right now it's one of those downtimes, but this time it's not because of the ride itself, it's because of the park. Leap the Dips was closed for over 10 years from the mid-80s to late 90s, looking for a major renovation, and with the help of the American coaster enthusiasts, it got a second life. Now, Lakemont Park needs a second chance, closing its rides for the 2024 season, the park hurting financially. They're still going to be open for all its sports facilities, its 10 pavilions, but with attendance down and insurance costs rising, they're looking to get out of the red with other business ventures, like renting the park for car shows and music festivals. The maintenance costs for their 2 wooden coasters has become a major problem. Leap the Dips is a National Historic Landmark, and the county lease says the coaster must be maintained and protected. This lease expires in 2066. That means Leap the Dips won't go anywhere, but who knows when it will open again. Now we have to wonder, could this be moved to another park, rebuilt and restored, and have a new lease on life? There are a lot of options not far away that could be interested. Del Grosso's and Idlewild are very close by. Kennywood and Knoebels also if you want to find a bigger operation. So this is possible, but I'm selling it. I think Lakemont Park figures it out, maybe gets a new investor, they get back on their feet, and this is reopened right where it stands in the next couple years. This park has a long history, and it's hard to believe this is the end of the road. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, before this next one, I just gotta say something. I recorded this episode a few days before Knott's Berry Farm announced that Manzuma was coming back in 2025. Keeping that in mind, this next section is kinda out of date, but I'm gonna leave it in here just so you know what I was thinking at the time. A.J. Hummel, Knott's Berry Farm has Zamperla finish the makeover of Montezuma's Revenge. Cedar Fair just filed an SEC report that mentioned a terminated project at Knott's in 2023. This is not good news, but I don't think it's the nail in the coffin. It could have just been referring to the project being scrapped in 2023, and they might pick it up in 2024 or 2025. I'm buying this. I could be very wrong about this very soon. I hope I'm not wrong about it before this video even drops, but I've said it before, this plot of land is tiny. There isn't much you can do here. Maybe a Skyrocket 2, maybe a Super Boomerang, maybe a Free Spin, but it seems like they can get someone to get the Montezuma project off the ground and finish it off. They didn't opt for those small options before. They wanted to revive Montezuma's Revenge, and I think they still do. I don't see why Zamperla couldn't get this done. The Top Thrill project isn't that much different, using LSMs going forward and backward, so maybe the SEC filing is being misread and it's not completely over. It could take a while, between finding a new builder and working out any legal problems from whatever happened last year. Coral Coasters. Now that SeaWorld is rebranded as United Parks, they will acquire at least one new park by 2028. SeaWorld has had a fascinating history. They've had their extreme downs, but right now they seem to be on an extreme high. They're building new rides in all their parks almost on a yearly basis, and I really hope it's sustainable and not a house of cards. They haven't been very aggressive in acquiring new properties. They bought the rights to the Busch Gardens parks in 2009. They bought Aquatica in San Diego and turned it into Sesame Place in 2022. But I'm still buying this for one reason, the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger. I think some parks are going to hit the market, and given SeaWorld's strong position, they might spring for one. I said in a past video, Discovery Kingdom might be up their alley. Maybe they get the rights to operate Darien Lake. I could see that happening. If there's ever a time to buy this, it's now. WVU Chia. Gravity Group, GCI or Intamin will build an all-wooden hypercoaster in the next 10 years. This has been tried exactly once, back in 2000 when RCCA built Son of Beast at 218 feet tall. Aside from that, the closest anyone has come is T-Express and Wildfire, both 183.8 feet, and those are models that are basically extinct. T-Express being the last Intamin prefab from 2008, and Wildfire being the last RMC Topper Track Woody from 2016. If these were still in production, I'd probably buy it, but I'm selling it. I would be stunned if any park buys another Intamin prefab after 16 years, and the Topper Track is pretty much dead also. The ground-up RMC projects are all iBox now. They went over 200 feet with Zadra, and even though it looks like a wooden coaster, the track is steel. The Gravity Group has gone as high as 159 feet with Voyage. GCI has gone as high as 131 with Wodan, so these guys aren't even close. I don't think anyone's crazy enough to try this anymore, and even if it's built right, it sounds like a maintenance nightmare. Matt Custer. The new Six Flags is done RMCing old wooden coasters. The last RMC conversion in the Six Flags chain came back in 2018. Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia. They had 2 years to plan other conversions before COVID hit, and that didn't happen. That wasn't for lack of options. They still have Roar at Six Flags America, Boss at Six Flags St. Louis, Monster at La Ronde, Predator at Darien Lake. It's hard to believe that not one of these are on RMC's radar. In fact, I heard the Boss was on the RMC Fast Track, but that got derailed. I think the merger makes this less likely to happen, not more likely. Introducing Cedar Fair into the mix, and we know Cedar Fair and RMC didn't have the best experience. Still, I'm selling the idea they're done. I'm holding out hope that at some point, they get their hands on one of these 4 coasters. Don't forget about El Toro also. I could see that getting some iBox track or 208 track, and keeping the same layout. Even though the Boss may have been considered, I think Roar is the most likely one. It just makes too much sense. Casper Pywarczyk. After opening Sweet Valley, Energylandia won't see any major rides for at least 5 years. We know that Energylandia was able to grow so fast because of money from the EU, building 19 coasters in 10 years, and recently, they've broken the bank and got some really good ones. Ever since COVID, it seems like their finances have gotten really weird. I don't know what's going on with their grant, but we do know their brand new area, Sweet Valley, has faced some major delays. This was announced in the fall of 2021 and set to open in 2022, and it's finally scheduled to open in 2024. We also know they're planning on getting a Vekoma tilt coaster. This was going to be their 20th coaster, and that's officially canceled. It's possible they're facing financial issues. Maybe there's an issue with their funding, or maybe the park is growing faster than their audience, and they need to let the crowds catch up to the size of the park before adding anything more. I'm buying a slowdown coming after Sweet Valley opens this year. I also wouldn't be surprised if they turn around and announce a major new coaster in 2025. But if I had to put money on it, I would bet they stay relatively quiet for 3, 4, 5 years. Darth Malik 1000 and the L is for you. Family coasters will become the craze for all major theme park chains. This was actually one of my burning questions for 2024. Will this family coaster craze continue, or is it just a blip on the radar? Of course, I don't answer the burning questions in that video. I just present them so I can give my thoughts here. If you didn't notice, most of the major American parks are adding family coasters in 2024, and you can even go back to 2023. Wild Mouse at Cedar Point, Snoopy's Racing Railway at Canada's Wonderland, Vekoma Family Boomerangs coming to Kings Island and Holiday World, SeaWorld also going small with Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens Tampa, and Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando. For Hershend, you have Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood and Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City. You could pin this on inflation, trying to go small while prices are high. Or you could say these are additions the parks really needed, and drawing in families to enjoy family-friendly rides is a good idea. Maybe both are true, and I'm buying this. A lot of these family coasters have some pretty good size. They're long, dynamic, some of them are even pretty darn expensive. Parks can't only add family coasters, but I think you'll see a lot of them choose this over major thrill coasters every now and then, just like how Dollywood added 2 family coasters in a row. Lunarus. Kings Island doesn't get a Vortex replacement until 2026. It seemed like 2024 made sense for a Vortex replacement, but here we are and we got a family boomerang instead. This kind of addition doesn't exactly reset the coaster clock, so maybe we don't have to wait another 4 years. The merger may change the calculus, but Cedar Fair is kind of predictable when it comes to their big parks. Last time, we talked about if Carowinds was ready to get a new coaster in 2025 and I sold it. It seems like King's Dominion is in line for it, and Canada's Wonderland may be also. I pushed them back to 2026. It's possible Kings Island gets something alongside Carowinds, so I'm willing to buy this. Cedar Point may jump in there also, but after Wild Mouse and then Top Thrill 2, maybe they wait another year. I don't think Cedar Fair would go for more than 2 major coasters in a year. And now, you have the Six Flags parks to consider also. What I'm trying to say here is, in the end, who the heck knows? That's a wrap on episode 27. Let me know what you think of any of these topics, if you agree or disagree, and why. Also, don't forget, if you want your idea considered for the next video, leave it in the comments starting with buy or sell. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. I have a playlist with other buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to be a baseball fan. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.